Hello, I'm Kev, your living proof that you're never too old, and these are my thoughts on issue 4 of The Flash from this week's DC Rebirth pile of comics. Beware, there are spoilers ahead, so stop now if you don't want this issue of the comic spoiling. So this issue has been a long time coming in this series, really, because it started off with a bit of a bang. We thought the whole of the Rebirth stuff was going to be based around the Flash, and then Wally West sort of went off to do his own thing with the Titans, and the Flash kind of went off in this other direction that wasn't really anything at all to do with that big, spectacular DC Rebirth issue that we've got. And I don't want to say it was treading water because it's brought in a lot of new characters over the last couple of issues, but that's kind of all it's been doing, just throwing characters, throwing speedsters at us, and it's not really been that obvious where it's going, and we get a little bit more of that this week, and it probably could have done with doing this an issue earlier, because we might have started, I haven't looked at the figures, there might have been people already start to fall off, but hopefully anyone like me who was starting to think, this Flash stuff, it's a bit repetitive each time, isn't it? We're not finding out anything new, they're just throwing new speedsters at us. It's hooked me in at least until the end of this arc, and I hope it's done that for a lot of other people as well. So, actual meat and bones of what we find out in this issue. We find out what Godspeed was up to last issue. We find out how he managed to kill all of those guys in where he killed them. And basically we can find out that all these new speedsters, they might not permanently have their powers. And in actual fact, they can take the speed force from each other. It's not really clear how, basically by outrunning each other. If you run faster than someone else who has access to the speed force, you can take their speed force away, but it doesn't always happen. I guess you have to be trying to take the speed force when you do it, because you get the Flash running with people on his side, and he must be, someone's running faster than someone else, presumably, unless they're all running at exactly the same speed, and there's no one nicking anyone else's speed force. But when they have to take the big baddie's powers, they run faster than him and take his speed force away. So we need a little bit of clarification about how that's going to work, but it is reassuring that we're not going to be living in a world with hundreds of speedsters, because it just didn't make sense that they were just throwing speed force at everybody. And I guess over the next few issues we're now going to have that number whittled down a little bit more to probably the Flash and his little set team of people who are going to work with him in this series, and probably a baddie or two as well. In addition to all that, we finally get a bit of smooching action between Barry and Mina. I have a bit of a snog, and Barry gets so excited about it that he decides to just whip off his mask and reveal his identity. And it's not actually clear whether he's just revealing his identity to Mina, or whether he stood there in the Speedster factory and he's just said to everybody, "Hi, I'm Barry Allen." So there could potentially be some fallout for that, whichever one of those he's done, really, because he's not known Mina very long. She was kind of working at the place where the bad guy was working and could be a baddie still, so lots of potential stuff that could come off the back of that. So it's interesting to see how they're going to play with that. And it's not the only DC Rebirth book this week that ends with a bombshell of someone revealing their identity either. So what's going on there? Are they connected? Probably not. Might just be a coincidence, but interesting to see that two books have ended in a very similar way this week. One slight negative to this issue: we've got a new artist. I forget their name. You'd think I'd have that written down, but you know I haven't. But the art is a bit weird in places, particularly on faces. That one next to me now, I mean Barry's face at the bottom there, it just looks a bit weird. I don't know. I guess it's a stylistic choice. They've not deliberately thought, I know, you know what this book needs? Weird faces. So I guess people like them. Let me know in the comments whether you are those people. I don't really care for that weird expression he's got going on, and for most of the book they look normal, but you just get these little bits here and there where they do just look a little bit weird. So hopefully that's not going to be an ongoing thing, because if nothing else it's a bit inconsistent with how the characters are being drawn. But that's a bit of a niggle, and on the whole this issue ramped up the pace a little bit with what's been going on in the Flash since the Rebirth issue. There is a storyline in there somewhere amongst all the world building and characterization we've been getting, and I think we're building up to something awesome, and that's exciting. If you've enjoyed that, make sure you pop a like on there for me, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, click alongside me here to get to the playlist of all my books that I've read this week and my thoughts on those. And thank you very much for watching.